might recognize this sound as a chord scale. I want to talk about chord scales here. Ian was asking some really good questions about this stuff over on our Discord server. I wanted to bring the conversation here onto the main page so I could share it with everybody. The idea is if we have a C major scale, we can build a chord on each note of the scale. And this is going to be something that is true in any major scale. You're going to wind up building a major 7 chord on the 1, minor 7 chord on the 2, minor 7 chord on the 3, major 7 on the 4, dominant 7 on the 5, minor 7 on the 6, minor 7 flat 5, or sometimes called half diminished, on the 7th degree, and finally back home. So 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So check out the PDF that I just played through where it says C major. Now, of course, you're not limited only to being able to do this in major scales. We could do this with other scale types. So this is what happens if you do the exact same thing, but instead of thinking about C major, we're going to think about C melodic minor, which is the same as C major, but has a minor third, E flat in it. So that's going to affect some of the chords, not all of them. The first chord, it will be C minor major 7, which is just C major 7 with a minor third. D minor 7, no change because D minor 7 doesn't have an E in it, so whether the E is flat or natural doesn't really matter. Now this is interesting. E flat, major 7, sharp 5, because we've got E minor 7 normally, but with E flat that becomes a very different chord. E flat major 7, sharp 5, F7, G7, same as before, A minor 7 flat 5, that's new, B minor 7 flat 5, same, and then back to this minor major 7. So that's the chord scale in melodic minor. What about harmonic minor? That would have E flat and also A flat. That's going to sound like this. There's that chord again. Now the 4 chord is minor 7, G7, A flat, major 7, B, diminished 7th. So not half diminished, but fully diminished. And back to minor major 7 at the top. And let's do one more scale type. This is a little more obscure, but it comes up, so I thought I would share it here. Harmonic major. That's a major scale with a flat 6. So it's going to give us these chords. Beautiful sound. You could move around. You don't always have to just go in the order of the scale. This would be going in a cycle of fourths. That's the A flat, D, G, C, F, B, E, A flat, D, G, C. And you could do that with any of these. I'm doing it for the first time in this scale, but you could apply that to any of the scales. Or make up other kinds of chord sequences, just to say things don't always have to be in the typical sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4. Wanted to say, if you wanted to continue exploring this, if you like this sound but you've already kind of done those things, you could start with a different starting chord. So instead of starting with this drop 2 C major 7 voicing, you could start with C major 9, and that's going to give you these sounds. Right? You see what's happening on each string? We're just going up the scale. So wherever you start, C is going to go up 1 scale degree to D, E will go up to F, B will go up to C, and D will go up to E. So we go from C, E, B, D, to D, F, C, E, to E, G, D, F, to F, A, E, G, and so on. So that's C major 9. You could start on C 6, 9. Sounds similar because we've got the outside notes are the same, but the inside is a little different. I've not written the names for these chords because some of the names are going to sound complicated, and I want you to focus just more on the sound and the shape. If you want to figure out what the names are, that's great, but it's not the main concern right now. Thinking about just the melody and following this idea, and you can keep going. I'll stop there. One other shape that you could do with D on top is a C over G. So any of these, you're still getting this on the outside, but the inside stuff changes. So for the C major 9, this is the inside stuff. For C 6, 9, this is the inside stuff. And for G over C, this is the inside stuff. So that's what's different. Again, you could apply now these starting chords to the 4 scale types: major, melodic minor, harmonic major. And of course there's lots of other keys, other string sets. This could be a year of work if you really dig into it. Don't be overwhelmed, just dig into it and start where you are and keep chipping away at it. You'll want to have this stuff under your fingers when you're playing, because this is maybe not so much the harmonic major and the more obscure sounding chords, but at least in the major scale, you'll want to have this stuff at your fingertips, because this is real bread and butter chord voicings that you want to be familiar with and be able to move freely from chord to chord. Another chord scale thing that Ian was asking about is, what do you do if you want to make a chord scale sequence from something like this? This is D7 sharp 9. It doesn't belong to any major scale that I can think of, and it's pretty odd because it's got F sharp and F in it. So how would we run it through a scale? I thought of 2 scalar solutions. That there might be others. The 2 that came to me were, one is we could think of this as part of E flat melodic minor. E flat melodic minor is E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D, and back to E flat. So if we think of that G flat as F sharp, we could build this chord out of that scale. Typically the chord we build on the 7th degree of melodic minor is minor 7 flat 5, but there's no reason you couldn't start with this shape and then we would just move everything up one note. So D will go to E flat, F sharp or G flat will go to A flat, C will go to D, and F will go to G flat, and then we wind up with this chord. I don't know what you want to call that, but that's the next chord. And then the next chord, E flat up to F, A flat up to B flat, D up to E flat, G flat up to A flat. You wind up with this. We keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, it's not easy to name these chords, so I didn't, but you can if you want to. So that's harmonizing this chord into a chord scale using E flat melodic minor. Another thing you could do is think of the 8-note diminished, the 8-note dominant scale. So from D, that's D, E flat, F, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C. So we can build a D7 sharp 9 from that scale as well. The problem is it's an 8-note scale, and we can't really do the same kind of chord scale idea when we've got 8 notes. It's going to be easier to do with 7. The chord scale idea is built around the idea of 4-note chords in a 7-note system. Well, we could just take one of the notes out of the symmetrical diminished or symmetrical dominant, and then we'd have a 7-note scale. So what if we took out A? That would sound like this. Pretty unusual. So I'm going D, E flat, F, F sharp, G sharp, B, C, D. If you do that, you wind up with this. Down. Ooh, what a wild sound. And again, each string it's just following the scale. Excuse me. Or, yeah. So there is that funny gap between the G sharp and the B, but that's how you do it. I guess you could also try to do it without the B, and then you get this. You could try that as well. These sounds are pretty wild. Not gonna just go over on any old gig you have. These are really specialized sounds. I think they would be most interesting if you're into composing your own music or doing really fresh arrangements of other people's music, but not worrying too much about following what the original chart says, but just really reimagining and using harmony to your own taste. So try it out, experiment, see what you get into, and let me know.